got Chris Jacobs here today. He's out of beautiful Vernia, Texas. I watched Vernia whip up on Floresville last week.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
For Vernia.
Our entire sports program is killing it. Volleyball girls are going to state. They got semifinals coming up.
Oh, they are?
Yep.
When my daughter was at Floresville, they got second from state, and they were badass, but she quit. One thing about Vernia that I noticed, because I went to the game the other day, was the participation from the community at the high school.
It's pretty wild.
And it stuck out more than probably any high school I've been to.
Especially for a small, they're 4A, but when I was there, it was 3A. And it's a small 4A school. Boy, they follow hard. I mean, that's Friday Night Lights to a T.
I know, but it was awesome. They have all the sponsors. I mean, there's no room on the fence for more sponsors.
No.
And so it's nice to see that community stick together. I cruise through Vernia probably 2 or 3 times a week going to Floresville. So I'm there a lot. What are you doing in Vernia?
Yeah, I've been there since 98, 99. Obviously went to school there. We
graduated from Vernia?
Actually, no. I actually dropped out and got my GED.
Good for you.
I wanted to join the military. We moved there after my mom passed away when I was, 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad was in a pretty tough spot with emotionally and then financially at some point. And so he sent me to military school in Alabama. And so the first year that we lived there, I was living in Alabama going to military school.
Only kid?
No, so I have 3 older brothers and 2 older sisters. One of my sisters I never met. The other one lives in Tennessee. I've seen her a couple of times in the last 30 years. My older brother, Jeff, is an ex-Marine. Now he's a contractor overseas, contracts all over the world. My next older brother passed away about 2 or 3 months ago from diabetes. He was living here in San Antonio. I moved him down here from Dallas, where we were born at. And then another brother, he's one of the main head diesel technicians for Halliburton.
Oh.
So, but I've kind of been on my own because, we had a lot of stuff going up. My brothers were in and out of trouble. And so I kind of distanced myself a little bit from them unintentionally, intentionally, just because, my dad didn't want me to come up and go down that path.
Yeah.
So that's why he sent me to military school. And so going to Alabama really changed the trajectory of my life, kind of pushed me towards
At how old?
I was 14. It was probably 2.5 months after my mom passed away that he was like, nah, we're going. Dang. Okay. Well,
and what was the military school like?
It was Lyman Ward Military Academy in Camp Hill, Alabama, just outside of Opelika. I actually had some military structure before because I went to a Marine Corps boot camp when I was in 5th or 6th grade. Mm-hmm. So I kind of knew what to expect. And it was more of a summer camp. And I knew what to expect, but I had never been away from home for that long. And I was coming off of, my mom passed in May of 99.
At 14.
At 14 years. Well, actually, I was 14, about to turn 15. And I went immediately to a summer camp called the Salesmanship Club Youth Camp in East Texas. And it was more so because I don't think my dad was prepared to handle being a single dad.
I don't think we're even prepared to be parents.
No.
Like,
God, no.
where's the book?
No, there's no. And that's kind of, I kind of learned that at that point. And so I kind of had to grow up really fast. And so coming out of that youth camp, that was from basically May until August. And when I got home in August, my dad was like, yeah, you're going to military school. And I was like, what the hell? Like, wait, huh? And
shit.
We drove to Alabama and he dropped me off and I spent a year there and it was an unbelievable experience. I got to meet a lot of amazing people. That military structure kind of put the wheels in motion. Like, all right, your path is not really education. It's military.
Yeah.
And so I came back the following year and started at Vernia.
After a year of military school.
Hated it. Oh, I hated Vernia.
You hated Vernia?
Oh, I came from Dallas.
Yeah.
Very diverse culture, very, very city. We were South Dallas by Oak Cliff, Irving, that area. And so when I got to Vernia, I was stuck out like a sore thumb, the baggy jeans and
High school's tough for anybody.
Yeah.
And that's why I got to keep reminding my kid, like, high school was tough for me. And all in all, it was fine, right? But it's still just, you don't even know what shirt to wear that day.
No.
And you want to fit in with these people and that people. And then the day high school ended, it was like, shit, I'm free. Yeah, and then none of this shit matters.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do?
I know. So I feel bad for my, my daughter and son, or like they're doing fine, but it's like all this shit in high school matters so much. And the day you're gone, it's all gone.
It's crazy how life changes that moment. Because you start to realize, a lot of my friends, they went off to college, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. And I was over here like, I'm just going to drop out and get a GED. And everybody's kind of like, what the hell? Like, quitting. And I was like, no, I didn't see it that way. My plan was, I was going to the military. And I initially signed up as a reservist. And that was kind of the plan. I remember laying in bed one night and I was thinking to myself, like, I just dropped out of high school. I'm going to join the military. What am I doing?
At what, 17?
Yeah, I was 17.
Or 18.
I was 17 when I made the decision. But then I had to wait until I turned 18 because my dad, his deal was if I got my G, he was pissed. Oh, he was fire mad when I decided to do that. And so I decided, I'm going to go sign in, swear in at MEPS. And I remember being at MEPS and funny story, I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is already passed, so I can tell the story. We were with a bunch of dudes and I remember one of the guys was like, hey man, let's go get some beer. And we're like, okay, we're at MEPS. Like that's a big no-go. So we did a beer run.
Oh, shit.
And so we get back to MEPS and we just proceeded to get just shit-faced. And we're staying at the hotel. And I remember we get up the next morning at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm ridiculously hungover. We get to the MEPS office to swear in. And my recruiter comes up and he's like, oh, well, I screwed up. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I put your paper in for active duty. And I was like, oh, shit. I looked at my dad, and I had the choice. I still hadn't hit my second swearing in, so I could still get out of it if I wanted to. But I was like, you know what? Screw it. It'll probably do me some good to get the hell out of here for a little bit. There was
he did that on purpose.
Yeah. And so he told me I was going to get a bonus. I never got a bonus. So don't listen to your recruiter. They always lie. And I got a lot of friends that are recruiters now, so I can say that. Never got a bonus. Ended up going active duty. Did Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic, Aberdeen Proving Grounds for AIT, and ended up at Fort Hood. And as soon as I landed, I deployed. It was like, you're gone. And I was coming off of a knee surgery, spent most of my military career in Iraq. Being at Fort Hood was kind of nice because I could travel back and forth from San Antonio to Fort Hood. Even though it was further than I was supposed to go, they didn't really push back too much. So when I was home on the weekends, I was in Vernia hanging out. Hung out around a lot of East Central people because most of my Vernia friends were in college. And so that kind of propelled me into a different world where it was like, okay, this is going to be a career. I'm going to do this forever. I was running tanks, and when you deploy, your job doesn't matter. You're going to do whatever the hell they tell you to do. So we did a lot of convoy ops, a lot of security operations, gate guards, stuff like that. Ended up getting hurt when I was overseas. Came back and they pretty much told me like I was fast tracked. I had done all my correspondence courses, got all my promotion points lined out, and was doing really well. And they came to me and said, when I was getting ready to re-enlist, they came to me and said, hey, your career's over. You're done. You're not staying in. Back was trash. Knees were trash. Shoulder was trashed. And so we decided, the option was to get out April 29, 2006, and with no benefits, no medical, no nothing. Or I could get med boarded, which is a process with which they remove you from the military through a medical retirement. And the downside for that was I probably would have done it if I knew we weren't getting deployed on May 1st of that 2006, redeployed. And I didn't want to be stuck on rear detachment because, 20 years ago, rear detachment was where all the shit bags were. And I didn't want to be on rear detachment. And I considered myself relatively high speed. I was like, nah, I don't want to be with, so I decided to get out on April 29th because I would have got stop lost and then hit med board. So I would have been in another year, maybe a year and a half. And so I decided to get out. And the day I left, I got offered a private security job with a company that I won't name. and did that for a little while. And we basically, what we did was our job was to bring high profile individuals from Kuwait to Iraq. It was still a relatively hot spot. It was during the first, early era of GWAT, OIF1. So we would bring them in from either Aransas, Doha, or Al Salim into Cedar 2, which is in southern Iraq. Drop them off, and they would either hook up with a bird or they would hook up with another convoy and go further into Iraq. And so I did that for a little while, and then some heat came down on the company I worked for, and they'd already kind of been in trouble and things weren't going real well. So they kind of basically came to us. We were in BIOP, and they came to us and said, "Hey, your visas are pulled. You're done. Figure out how to get back to Kuwait."
Oh, really?
Oh, shit. Luckily, some people that I knew were there in BIOP, and they were in the process of splitting Victory 1 and Victory 2 into those two forward operating bases. And I ended up getting a ride back to Kuwait and went to work for Halliburton for a little while. Did some security stuff for them. Then I went into the motor pool.
What kind of security stuff do you have to do for Halliburton?
You're basically like, Halliburton has so many different divisions. So they'll have protective security details to work with their Iraqi nationals in Iraq. In Iraq, when I was there, and I even, 20 years into it, most of your soldiers didn't do the basic detail stuff. So they didn't do construction work. We had some CBs on base that would help out, but it was mostly civilian operations. Can't remember the name of the company that ran all of our commissaries, cooking, all of that was done by private contractors. That was when defense contractors really kind of took over the federal government. And so our job was to basically make sure that the people that were coming on base and working on base weren't shitheads, weren't trying to blow you up. And so some stuff that popped off in the camp that we lived in, I think it was Victory 2 that we were on, with some Halliburton firefighters. And it was not handled the way a lot of us liked it. And then some of the guys that were involved in the motor pool side of things kind of got a little crazy. So I decided it was time for me to go. I wanted something that it wasn't 7 days a week, 14 hours a day.
That's what y'all are working over there.
So we were working over there.
Tax free?
No, so only your first 80,000 was tax free. Everything after that was taxed. And Halliburton didn't pay very well either. I mean, in perspective, a 21-year-old kid making $85K a year is pretty damn good.
Yeah,
but
except you might have to take a bullet.
Yeah, and we had a guy got shot. He took a ricochet off of a motor pool floor, got shot in the calf because where our motor pool was set up, where I worked on the we worked on basically tanks, M88s, which is like a Hercules. It's a big tow tank, Bradley, stuff like that. And because that was what my background was running those. And so, but we were overwatched by an apartment complex, a civilian apartment complex just outside the base.
Oh, shit.
So they would try to pop off rounds all the time. And so I decided to go to work for a company called ITT, which was a logistics company more so than anything else. And our responsibility when I took over transportation side, when I started on the transportation side, I went to Aransas in Kuwait. And it was cool as hell because in Kuwait, we had a status of forces agreement. So we lived off base. I lived in a massive apartment in Salmiya, which was just outside of Kuwait City, had a company vehicle, drove to work every day. I'm just like living here.
Really?
And, it was awesome. It was awesome. And so we were responsible for the
Kuwait
surge.
dangerous at that time?
No, Kuwait was so westernized. The only time Kuwait gets a little dicey was during Ramadan. You couldn't consume any kind of food or beverages during daylight hours, things like that. So you just be careful. That's when you travel anywhere. If you're traveling places and you don't know the culture, you shouldn't be there. So I've been in the Middle East for going on 2.5 years at this point. I was kind of used to the culture.
Yeah.
I became a dual citizen of Kuwait and the United States, so I could get my driver's license. And then so my group was responsible for the surge. So when the surge came through, we pushed 70,000 plus through Aransas, Doha, and Al Salim. And that was awesome. Like we were bringing in, Bradleys, M1s. I mean, this is when we did the push for the up armored stuff. Because when I went in to Iraq, we didn't have anything up armored. We were running soft shell Humvees. We didn't think we were going to be there that long.
Oh.
And so we were manufacturing steel plates to put on windows and stuff so we wouldn't get shot. And so when the surge happened, we took over most all of the surge and ran that from 2007 to 2008. And it was probably one of the most impressive feats the United States military ever accomplished because over a course of like 2 or 3 months. We pushed 70,000 pieces of equipment through there. And it went awesome. I loved the job. I got paid a hell of a lot more, and I was working 6 days a week. I had the option, day shift or night shift. So I worked day shift for the first 6 months or so. Then I switched to night shift, which was awesome. You didn't have to deal with the heat because it's a little warm there.
It's hot.
And so...
hotter than Vernia?
Oh, dude. Well, so, okay, different kind of heat.
But 100, like down in Laredo, Ensenada, it'll get up to 107, 108 sometimes.
120 to 130 wasn't crazy. But I don't know. Maybe I was just so adept to it because it didn't seem that bad. Plus, there was no humidity. I mean, it was just legitimate dry
You
heat.
walk outside and it just feels like a hairdryer blowing on you.
We had guys that would pick up wrenches off the deck and just burn the hell out of their hands. So like it was mechanics gloves everywhere you went. I mean, it was when you go and you look at, go watch old school documentaries of Iraq, and you'll see all those guys wearing mechanics gloves because even our combat gloves, our soft shell gloves, that they would not do worth a damn there.
Yeah.
Your weapons would get so hot, tools would get so hot. So mechanics gloves was what everybody wore.
Yeah.
And so I had about 35 Indian guys working for me, which was cool because it was you got to learn a lot about different cultures. A lot of them were engineers and doctors that were just trying to work for the Americans long enough to get visas to come over stateside, save up some money. Got to eat a lot of really good food. And so I did that for about 6 more months and didn't like the way leadership was going. So I decided, I had experienced a couple of things running security that really had me start questioning whether or not I was going to survive the Middle East again.
How was your back and body and health at the time after you got out?
I didn't realize how bad it was. There was a point where I was taking 6 to 7 Vicodin a day, and they handed it out like candy. So I was 22 at this time.
Yeah,
and really, you don't really know. I was in really good shape, so I thought, and I was able to run more of a leadership side, so I didn't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So I didn't really know just how bad it was until I started getting older. And then I remember when I got back, early 2009, I believe, I started experiencing a lot more issues with my back. And we had already been through the medical side of it, the VA, when I would come home on furlough or, breaks and stuff like that, go to get my VA follow-ups and, kept getting the runaround. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's that.
How is the VA system?
It's probably the quintessential example of government-run healthcare. Is exactly what you think it would be.
Just
garbage.
Shit.
It's gotten better. One of the biggest things that helped me was the choice program. It was a program that was implemented during the Obama administration that basically allowed us, and this kind of helped me out because when I got back, I couldn't get appointments. It was, you were middle of the stages of GWAT. Everybody was getting out where they were shot up, blown up, whatever. So it's 6 months, 4 to 6 months to get an appointment.
We were having a conversation about this yesterday, and it's not even getting political. It's just all the BS going on, and you experienced it firsthand. But if the United States spent the money here instead of sending it out overseas, you got the best health care, put people in gold fucking beds, and do whatever you want. If we would just take care of our fucking selves first and then spend money, whatever we have left over, like maybe on a hurricane in Jamaica or shit like that. And it drives me fucking nuts. And then you hear it firsthand from you that you need an appointment you can't get in for 6 months.
It was so embarrassing that I remember being in Kuwait and I remember saying, okay, I need to schedule an appointment on Air John for this or for that. It's the point where I just cash pay in Kuwait. It was cheap. It was cheap.
That's what I would have done too.
It was the healthcare as good? Probably not, but it was cheap and I could get in like that. And so when I got back stateside, it was like 6 months. Like my shoulder was jacked up in 2006 when I was still active duty. And when I got out, I didn't know to the extent of how bad it was. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until, my daughter was born in 2016. I made an appointment in the middle of the choice program. I tried to make an appointment I want to say it was September of 2015, and I couldn't get in. So in January, I finally got the call back to go in. I went in, they did some tests, and they're like, oh, it's just a sprain. I'm like, I mean, we're going on, almost 10 years of this. It can't be just a sprain. So I called back about a month later. Maybe it was a little less than a month later. And I was like, hey, I need to get in. Something's not right now. I can't even lift my arm over my head. When I take my shirt off, I just get this sharp pain. And they're like, yeah, we can get you in July. And I was like, that's not going to work. I said, well, my doctor at the time, who's still my doctor, Norma Macias, she's amazing, a really good VA doctor. She's like, listen, there's this program called the Choice Program where if we can't get you in, I think it's either 90 days or something like that, you can go see any civilian doctor you want.
That's still too many.
Right. So I was like, I can go see any civilian doctor I want. So I called a friend of mine who was big into pro sports. And he was like, look, there's this doctor in San Antonio called Siraj. His name is Siraj Saeed. He's at that. So at I-10 and 1604, they built that new hospital right there.
Yeah.
And it tanked out. Now I think UTSA or somebody owns it. It's like a research center. But anyways, when it was a hospital, I went over there. I called the office to this guy, and he's like, yep. I guess I got an opening tomorrow. I'm like, oh, shit. I was like, all right, cool. I'll be there tomorrow. Remember, I walked in. I wasn't in his office 30 minutes. And he did some tests. He's like, go downstairs. You need an MRI now. And I was like, holy shit. MRI.
You mean not in 90 days?
No, not in 90 days. Not even in 90 hours. Like, it was like that. I immediately went downstairs, got an MRI done with dye. And he goes, give me a day. I'll get back to you. I said, all right, cool. It wasn't the end of the next day. He called me. He's like, hey, we need to schedule surgery now. I'm like, okay, I need to know what's going on. He goes, you tore your labrum from 6 to 12. And he goes, and it's been like this for so long that it's starting to, what did he say? It was starting to do something where it was starting to kind of like heal itself improperly.
Yeah.
And that I just kept re-tearing it was all I was doing. It would heal itself, but it wasn't healing right. And it just kept tearing. And so I went under the knife like a month later, and he did a full surgery from 6 to 12, repaired it. I was in a sling for 8 months, and now freaking great. Like, it still a little sore. Arthritis is there. Excuse me. But then unfortunately the Trump administration did away with the Choice Program. And there was some good reason behind it because there was a lot of fraud going on. Physicians overcharging the VA for services. But it's like the VA overcharges every day. So, I mean, you win some, you lose some. But no, it was terrible. And I fought for, disability benefits for 10 years where I finally got, what I needed to get my medical stuff taken care of. And now you're getting older. All those things are starting to get worse.
Well, if anybody needs medical stuff, I do it all in Lubbock. Those guys, the difference between San Antonio and Lubbock is night and day. If you want an appointment, I mean, I deliver donuts and shit and might get a little bit of special treatment, but even without the special treatment, you can get in and get anything done in Lubbock. It's badass.
And it's crazy to think that because San Antonio is one of the medical capitals of the country.
Yeah.
And you can't even get...
I won't do jack shit here. I go to Lubbock no matter what. I schedule everything there. You know when you go to the doctor and they say, we're going to call you in a day or two and they never call? Mm-hmm. Dude, Lubbock's calling. And it's not just one office. It's every office. And follow-up stuff, if they'll call you the day before, hey, are you coming in, blah, blah, blah. They just... and it's not one particular office. It's every single office is badass there. It's just a completely different way of doing business and medical care up in Lubbock. And Lubbock is known for basically three things. Number one is medical. Number two is cotton. And number three is Texas Tech. So the medical stuff up there is fantastic. And it's only a short Southwest flight away.
Yeah.
I'll keep going there my whole life because I don't want to deal with the bullshit in San Antonio.
It's ridiculous. And that's why I think I like living in the small town so much now, because if there's something I need in the small town, I can go to the urgent care clinic, get right in, cash pay it. I've got private health insurance and I've got VA health insurance, and I'll still cash pay if I can.
Same.
It's just so much more efficient. I don't have to wait for nothing. I remember I had to get an MRI on my knee about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was going to be like 4 or 5 months before I get into the VA. And if I use my private insurance that I have through my business, it was going to cost me like, I had to meet my deductible, which was like $4,000.
Yeah.
And this buddy of mine who's he runs a hospital in Floresville. He was like, dude, call this company. They're in New Braunfels. Yeah. I called him. It was like $600. Got in the next day. Yeah. Like, you tore your MCL. I was like,
Well, that's one of the, just that statement right there is one of the reasons why you would work for yourself, because $500 is a lot of money, period. I mean, I still feel like I live off of $500 a week, and that's a lot. It is a lot of money. But if you work for yourself and you've been hustling and taking care of business, selling a few houses, and you want to expedite these processes, you could just cash pay and move on. And so that's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur, and a lot of people have sat across from you. Well, I ask them what their definition of success is, and it's freedom. And you have, just with the medical situation, you have a freedom of choice. You can sit there and go to the VA after 90 days, or you can go and wait for a doctor's appointment, or you can pay cash and do it. And I think that's the reason why we work for ourselves, not just because of monetary, but freedom. And that gives you that option. And I just think it's a huge deal. And that's part of the reason we do the podcast. Because if you're working 9 to 5 and you make whatever it is, you might not have that option. So, just a quick example of that. But so you got out of what year did you get out of the service?
2006.
And then what were you thinking while you were in the service on what you wanted to do? I mean, up to this time, you went to military school, you got in the service at a young age. That's all you knew was military stuff.
I had no idea.
That's all you knew.
I had absolutely no idea what direction my life was going. I knew my dad was in sales his whole life. My mom was in claims management her whole life. And I never thought, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. When I got done contracting, I didn't even come back immediately. I went and traveled the world and spent all my money. And so I came back. I wasn't broke, but I was pretty damn close.
Yeah.
And I tried some different things. I didn't like people. I was going through a phase where anger and alcohol really controlled my life. And a lot of fights, a lot of trouble. Luckily, no run-ins with the law. But I was going down the path that my dad was trying to push me away from. And, he passed away in 2004, right in between deployments. Well, actually, while I was on deployment. And so I didn't have anywhere to go. I was just kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? And went down this path of just basically boozing it up. Had a couple of roommates, lived in a crack house, basically. And we had gotten broken into, and this guy, in a matter of like 12 minutes, had broken into my house, stole all of our stuff, my pistol, and more importantly, a laptop that had all my pictures from everywhere I'd been. At that point, I didn't have USB thumb drives. I didn't have none of that stuff. And so I remember laying in bed one night and like $6 or $7 in my bank account. And I was like, I have no money. I have no job. I don't know how I'm going to make rent this month. My 2 roommates worked in the oil field. And I called my aunt. And I was like, hey, look, it's time for me to get a job. But, can you spot me $1,000 and kind of get me started? She was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And this is like my closest family member. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, seriously? And I remember Aunt Jackie, she just said, no, get your ass up, go get a job. So a buddy of mine, you know him, Mike Keelick, I called him up. I was like, hey, man, you got anything that I can do? He's like, I tell you what, you come book bands for me at the general store, and I'll let you drink beer for free, and I'll even throw you a little bit of money. And I was like, that's a start to get me on track. And so I started doing that for him. Started to make some really good connections in the music industry. And so I was trying to figure out, is this what I want to do? And a buddy of mine, Steven Bass, called me up. He's like, hey, I saw this ad pop up for this company that they sell parts and stuff for equipment. He goes, maybe you should go apply. I was, well, I know equipment pretty well. I worked for an RV company for 1.5 years or so. I know some of those, pneumatic parts, hydraulic parts, stuff like that. I was like, you know what, let me go by there. And I interviewed for this job with a company called Equipment Depot. And it was a parts manager job. I didn't get the job, but then he called me back and said, hey, how would you like to be a dispatcher? And I'm like, sitting in an office. I don't have to deal with people that much, just my drivers and my technicians. Like, yeah, that sounds cool. I think it paid like $15-16 an hour starting out, which in 2011 wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
So I took the job. I did it for about 3 months before they came to me like, hey, we want you to go into sales. And I was like, absolutely not. No. Why not? I was like, I hate dealing with people. I don't like people. I like my people.
Yeah.
I don't like anybody else. And I had a very short fuse, and I was dealing with that. I was going to counseling and therapy and all these things to try to cope with that. And so this guy, Brent Freeman, came down. He was the director of rentals for Equipment Depot. And he brought this guy, Ben Garner, down. And they wanted me to meet him at Whataburger in San Marcos. And I'm like, okay, for what? I'll just come meet with us. So I went to eat lunch with him. And Ben didn't say a word to me the entire time we were there. But Brent talked to me a lot about different things and rental management and stuff like that. And I was like, what's going on here? And he was like, oh, we just want to get a feel for who you are. You're doing a good job dispatching. And I'm a very organized person. I like things a certain way, type A personality. And it was probably 2 or 3 weeks later, I got invited to lunch with Ben Gardner and this other guy, Joe Flores. And it was basically an interview for a sales job. And I was like, I told you I didn't want this. Like, I don't. And they were like, no, you can do really good at this. It could pay up to 6 figures. And I was like, all right, I'm listening now. Like, what you got? And I went into that, and I spent 7 years doing that, just killing it. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Being able to control basically my schedule. It ended up being the office, company truck,
renting out just equipment,
scissor lifts, boom lifts, things like that. And I got to sell it too. And so I was really good. I had a lot of friends that were coming back from A&M that were taking construction jobs that threw their business my way. Picked up a couple of hospitals. Got certified to train. So I was training people, charging, $125 a head for training. So it was really good. And then, I come up with a plan. We wanted to dump some equipment. So I was like, well, let's do a big wholesale event at the shop and we'll sell all our old equipment. And everybody in the corporate office was like, nope, that's never going to work. And I was like, let's try it. And we did. And they made like $2 million that day.
Oh shit.
Like, hold on now, wait a minute. Like, let's look at this let's put this in a vacuum and look at this. Like, would you be interested in going into management? And I was like, absolutely not. Because to me, in sales, there's no cap. You can make as much money as you want. In management, you got a salary. Yeah, you get a little bonus. But when I knew that the sales reps were making more than the managers, I was like, I don't think so. I was all about making money. I had just bought my first house. And then I started dating my wife, who was my wife at the time. Now is my wife, then my girlfriend. And ultimately, it came down to towards the end of my career there, I was up for one of the sales manager's position. And my brother-in-law, he was like, hey, look, there's an opportunity in my real estate company. He owns a real estate company in San Antonio. And they were one of the highest producing companies in town. He's like, man, we want you to come on a real estate. And I was like, it's not my game. Not my game. Again, just super hesitant to even think about it.
Yeah.
The idea of owning your own business, working for yourself. Because in real estate, while you carry your license with somebody, you own your own business.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, no. And they hounded me for a couple of years. And finally, I remember sitting at their ranch one day and they were like, look, maybe don't do it full time, but we want to start flipping houses and we want you to help us get them. And I'm like, all right, as long as I can stay at my job and do this, I'll do it. So I got my license in like 8 weeks, which is stupid that you can get your real estate license that fast. And the first 2 months I picked up like 4 or 5 flips. And they were like, dude, now help us sell them. I'm like, no. Like,
I'm selling equipment.
They go to eat. And so the company I was working for found out that I got my license, that I was doing that. And we started having some headbutting moments. And finally I walked into their office, Shane and Clint's office. I was like, hey, let's give this a shot. Let's see where it goes. I had a job offer on the table from United Rentals, a very, very lucrative job offer.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I'll give this a couple of months and see where it goes. The first month I was full-time real estate. I closed like 7 deals. And I was like, dude, this is easy. And then I didn't realize that it wasn't easy.
Oh, yeah.
And so the more I wanted to make, the more I had to hustle. And so I quit that job and did it full-time. And since then, I've been the highest producing agent on the team and one of the highest producing agents in Texas. And it just kind of like catapulted me to different things and gave me opportunities to do flips and start dabbling in other business ventures. And I'm always thinking ahead. Like everything I do today is set me up for 6 months from now.
Well, one of the things that I like about any type of business where you run into people is how many opportunities when you're just selling a house, How many opportunities have sprung off of you selling a house with people that you meet?
So, I mean, you can go down a whole rabbit hole. I mean, I've had people approach me about make-ready businesses. One of my closest friends, and he's now my business partner. That's how it started. He started doing make-readies for me. Super handy guy. He owns a really popular coffee shop in Vernia called The Shed, and that's all he wanted to do. And I remember I was driving through his drive-through at The Shed, and he was like, "Hey, man," he goes, "I want you to take a look at something for me." Okay, what do you got? At this point, I was selling 70 to 80 houses a year. I mean, I was doing 25 million a year, like clockwork.
Yeah.
And I had built my business so much that I was dependent solely on my own business. I didn't get business from the team. You start out getting your leads from the team, and I had built it up so much that I didn't do that anymore. So I got to pick and choose who I wanted to work with. Mm-hmm. And we knew each other from me going to the coffee shop. I went there every single day and got a certain coffee that I'm not going to say because it's kind of corny. But
what is it?
A latte.
I own a coffee shop.
It was just a cafe latte with skim milk. I think they call it a skinny cafe latte with one sweet and low. And he'd always make fun of me. We always poke fun at each other. And finally one day he was like, "Hey, I want you to look at this house that I bought in Floresville." He was going to do another coffee shop in Floresville. And I said, "Well, what are you trying to do?" He's like, "Well, Starbucks is coming in, so I don't really want to mess with it." And they had somebody they were talking to, and that's a real estate agent, a friend of theirs. I took a look at it. I was like, this is the number. I didn't even have to go home and get on MLS and run comps. I just knew because I'd sold so much in Floresville and Vernia.
Yeah.
You kind of get a handle on what those numbers are relatively quickly by looking at it in the general area. I knew it had some commercial appeal because it was off 90. I knew about what the value was, and it was quite a bit higher than what they were initially going to list it for. So I remember coming to his house one day, and his wife was giving me the keys, and she's like, "Look, you got to keep this super low key. I don't want to, they're huge in the community, which is why I love them so much. So they didn't want to rock the boat." I said, "That's fine. Let's look at it. Let's see what we can do." We put it on the market, I think, for $285, and within like a day or two, we had multiple offers and went over that. And from then, it was like, all right, well, what else can we do? Okay, well, let's start finding flips in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. So I started finding him flips in San Antonio. And then our relationship just continued to grow. And then we started doing make-readies for rental management companies. And then clients would call me like, "Hey, I want my bathroom redone." Or I would go in and be like, "Hey, look, house is great, but you need granite countertops, or you need this." All right, call Chase. And then they would call him, and he would go out there and get it all done. And then we'd sell the house for so much more than what we thought.
Yeah, well, you're going definitely on a rabbit hole, but a realtor could be a remodeler and pay dividends on all of these visits. Big time. Mm-hmm. Concrete work, you need a fence, and here's the guy. Or we do it. Is there anything that says you can't be a realtor and a remodeler at the same time?
No, there's a lot of them that do it. My only reason why I didn't go down that path is because I was doing so much volume. There was no time. Mm-hmm. The real estate game, it's a sink or swim game. A lot of people complain and say, "Well, y'all make too much money." Did you know the average realtor makes less than $50,000 a year?
I've heard that it's like the top
1%.
The top what percent sells 95% or something? It's like
the top 1% sells 95% of all real estate.
That's crazy.
Those numbers are pretty damn accurate, and that's just it goes to show that. And I thought the same thing before I got into it. I thought every realtor made a shit ton of money. But what you see now is realtors living in apartments, leasing BMWs, and it's like, what are you doing? Like,
I just don't like when I find a deal, all of it, and then I've got to pay 3% to get the damn thing bought, which has made me think I should go get my realtor stuff, but I don't need to. I got a guy that does it at 1%, and I'm fine.
You mean to list it?
No, to buy it or list it.
You shouldn't be paying any commission to buy it.
Not 1%? I don't feel like you should.
So, okay, let me back up. It depends on how it's bought, right? So if that guy,
they got to do the paperwork and
so
shit
if that guy or girl finds the house and there's no other agent involved,
I find it.
A lot of times, more often than not, I can get the seller to pay me.
I have to talk to Nate. Nate, you're in trouble now. No, he's not. I'm
don't
fine.
worry, Nate. I'll keep sending you business. Don't worry about it.
No, he won't. He's cool. And we will work through anything anyway. But I feel like for them to do the paperwork and do all that other stuff, yeah, you can get a lawyer to do it for $1,500, but they're not going to do it quick.
But even then, if you're paying $100,000 for the house, 1%'s $1,000, still cheaper.
Yeah.
But the other side of it too is from the seller's perspective, right? It's either you pay that agent the 3%, or you're going to have to put it on the market for 6%.
Yeah.
And I know people push back on the commission, but you have to understand how commission structures are based. There's always, there's so many fees tied to a commission, right? So if an agent's making 3%, they're really only mostly netting 1 to 2% of that, because some of it goes to the brokerage.
Yeah.
Some of it does go to marketing, your partnerships with your lead sources. You know, most agents work through Zillow Leads or Dave Ramsey Leads or HomeLight or Fast Expert, and they're paying 25 to 30 to 40% of their commission to those companies just so you and that person can have a conversation. And so they're not making that much. And then you take that out, now you got to pay your split to your brokerage or your team, which could be 20%, could be 30%, could be 40%. Some brokerages charge 50%. And then, so you're getting 50% of that 2%.
Yeah.
And now you have to take taxes out.
Oh,
and then you have to pay for your signage, or you have to pay for your time, which in real estate, I tell all the agents on our team, we have somewhere around 90 now. Your time is more valuable than anything else, because if you're spending, you know, if I didn't have a runner that our team provided, I would spend 30% of my week driving all over South Texas delivering signs and lock boxes.
Oh, yeah.
So, and your lock box has got to go in before the sign can. So you're making 2 trips per house.
Yeah.
So you think, I live in Vernia. I sell a ton of real estate in Vernia. We'll just use Vernia for an example.
It's an hour
It's
away.
an hour. So I got to drive an hour there to put a lock box on.
Yeah.
Then I drive an hour home. Then the photographer has to access that lock box to take pictures. Then I got to go back to that house to put a sign in, because a sign can't go in the ground until 24 hours before it's live. And it takes 3 days to process pictures. So now I've just spent 4 hours to deliver a lockbox and a sign. That's a third of my day.
And some gas.
And fuel, and diesel. And then also, how many calls am I missing because I'm in the yard hammering in a sign? Could be a potential lead. That potential lead could be $10,000.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into consideration. So now that 1.5% that you were making just turned into about 1% before taxes.
Yeah.
And so that's where I say volume is the play in real estate. You have to sell a lot of real estate to be successful, which is why you see so many people get into the business. And I think it's less than 4% make it past the first 3 years or something.
I've seen that a ton with people that are, I'm going to, you know, it's always a pretty face on a sign. I'm going into real estate, blah, blah, blah. And I would tell people, a pretty face isn't going to sell your real estate. When you need a real estate agent is when the negotiations are going on. And that's when you need a fucking pro, not just somebody to show you the house. That's part of it. But when a real estate agent can make their money is during the negotiations and get back and forth what, you know, the customer is feeling to the seller and vice versa, and make it impactful and stick, because if they're not good at negotiations, that fucking deal will be gone.
Well, the thing about it is, it's not just negotiations. It's how do you get creative in a transaction? I'll give you a perfect example. I got a property under contract in Vernia, and we went a little under list price, knowing it was going to appraise well over, but it was going to be an as-is deal. No question. So they came back, they did inspections. Hey, look, we found this, 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 and this. I said, look, I don't want to know about any of it. Let's find a number that we can reduce the price so we don't have to disclose anything. Because the minute you turn an inspection over to a seller, that now has to be disclosed to the next potential buyer.
Oh.
So we took some money off. The appraiser came in there and said, hey, foundation, man, this is going to be a condition to close. So my seller was freaking out because the foundation was going to cost $11,000. And it was just 16 piers. And I was like, look, you know, we took money off the top. Now we need to get some of that money back to make up for what we're fixing to spend, because the whole point was taking money off the top to not do any repairs. And so the other agent was pushing back on that. I was like, no, this is how it's going to be. I know the property appraised over what it was listed at. So you've already got equity. I know you're going to remodel the whole house anyways. We will take care of the main thing, which is the foundation, which it wasn't bad. It was less than an inch in difference. I was like, that's $11,000. We're getting $11,000 back, or we're not doing this. We negotiated it. I started high. They came in low. I came in the middle. We met in the middle, got the deal done.
Yeah.
But the negotiation is important, but you have to remember there's 3 ways to evaluate a house. What I think it's worth, what an appraiser thinks it's worth, and what a buyer's willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
So there's only so much negotiating you can do. It's how do you get creative with that negotiations to make sure that the buyer is getting what they want in their interest rate or repairs or whatever, but the seller is netting what they want.
Yeah.
And you do that without messing with your commission.
Oh, yeah, that's another point. What have been the challenges in the past? I mean, during COVID, you couldn't not sell a house.
It was impossible to be a failure at real estate.
It was a free for all. And we had a guy that was owned a car dealership and sold cars. And I feel like it was the same with the realtors, their attitudes towards customers, and it was take it or leave it, bro. And so they skipped all the sales steps and the processes, and it was the same in real estate. When I bought a house in Lubbock, there were 13 for sale, 13 houses in a town of 300,000 people. So it's like, take it or leave it. But what have you been doing in the past, 2 years with the market being the way it is, the interest rates being high, to stay successful and keep selling houses and real estate?
Nothing. I didn't change anything. And I think that's what's kind of helped launch my career to where it's at now is, I went into the market when it wasn't that great, 2017. It was okay. It was very much like it was now. 4 to 5% wasn't unusual.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see 3% interest rates. So when COVID hit, our team geared itself around a shift that was going to be negative. We thought market was going to tank. Government fabricated interest rates, got them down super low. It took off. So I just stayed the course. I kept doing what it kept following up on my calls, staying on top of my listings.
Yeah.
And so when the market shifted, it didn't change for me. This is going to be probably my best year of real estate and one of the worst years we've seen since probably 2008, 2009.
What do you attribute that to?
Hustle. I work my ass off. So one of the biggest things that I do is I make sure that I put back into my community what I take out of it. And I think I'm lucky enough to be in a small town to where I can do that. But I thought that would only be the case for Vernia, but I don't just sell in Vernia. Matter of fact, maybe 30 to 40% of my business is out of Vernia. The rest of it's San Antonio and Bernie. And it's all the people that I have, met over the years that I've done business with that consistently refer me business. And then staying true to what I do and my follow-up, my consistency with my clients, not changing. When I'm mostly listings. I don't work with that many buyers. I refer most all my buyers out unless it's a specific case. But, I was running 35, 40 listings at a time during COVID, but I kept treating the agents the same way. I didn't throw a hard line at them. I didn't become an asshole and just start, I worked with them, made sure it was a win-win for both sides. I would even argue that a lot of my listings, I didn't go 17 to 20 offers on like a lot of these houses where we priced a little higher, knowing that the market was really good. We tried not to take advantage of people because that's karma. You get what you put back into it.
Isn't it wild when you show up, you do what you say, you follow through, and you do a good job, what happens?
It's crazy, right?
And consistently over a long period of time. It's
kind of weird how that works.
Shit just fucking falls into place.
Well, and that's with not just real estate, it's everything you do. I say this word a lot, and this was a very serious conversation I had with some people this past week, is how are you so successful in what you do? I try to be as intentional as possible. I can be very direct. I can be very blunt. Some people don't like how I come off. Some people love it, but I'm intentional with everything I do. If I say it, there's meaning behind it, and I mean it. And it could be right, it could be wrong.
Yeah.
But if it's wrong, I'm going to figure out what went wrong and how do I fix it. And I want to be intentional with it. I'm intentional with my business. I'm not going to take on something that I don't think I can move unless there's some sort of connection that this is something I probably have to do. Like if I had to take a high price listing that I think is overpriced, I typically will turn it down unless there's a connection to another business or it's a favor. That's about the only time I'll do it. And that's a lot of reasons why I don't like working with buyers, because buyers have this expectation in this market that they're going to get whatever they want because the market sucks. That's not the case. A lot of these people bought these homes or built these homes during COVID. They can't give you everything you want. Yeah. They'll lose money and they don't have the cash to lose it. So when buyers have that mindset, they get super frustrated. and nobody wants to take accountability for their own actions. So they want to blame you as the agent. I'm not that guy. Like, I will just tell you, hey, go pound sand, find somebody else. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So being intentional, I think, is the number one thing that kept me going and has continued to help my business to be successful. But one of the biggest pieces of advice I like to give to my agents is make sure you're known in your community. Like, I go and I spend a ton of money at the stock show. I spend a ton of money in the school district, a ton of money with our booster clubs, because those are the people that are referring me business. I want to take care of their kids. I want to make sure. And I'm the first person that's going to get a call. So it's being intentional with what you do and putting back into the community that you're taking so much from.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Vernia, anywhere is like that, but the small towns especially. What I like that one of the things I want people to recognize is that when you're it could be any job. It could be a realtor. It could be a lineman at an airport. It could be working the front counter at Whataburger. But when you're there doing that job, you can't just feel like you're stuck in that job. You've got to look for all those opportunities that come your way and listen to what people say to find those opportunities. But what are some of the other opportunities that you've transitioned into from the real estate stuff? Your partner's on a gym.
So I did the house flipping thing with my brother-in-law for a while. And then about 3.5 years ago, I was working out at Anytime Fitness in Vernia, and it just wasn't a fun experience. And I had to start getting into shape because my back was just a mess. And so I remember I went to the ranch, and one of my builders called me up, and she was like, hey, she's like, first of all, she's like a mother to me. She called me up. She's like, hey, there's something coming into one of my buildings that could impact yours and a very good friend of yours business. I think y'all should look into this. Okay, cool. So I called up Chase. I was like, hey, man, there's talk about another coffee shop coming in Vernia into this building that Janine has across from the den. You should really consider maybe doing something there. So we kicked some ideas around, and I said, why don't you open a gym? And he was just kind of like, what do you mean? I was like, well, let me run some numbers, kind of see what it could look like, and I'll get back to you. So I went to the ranch that week, and I was sitting in my deer blind, and I had a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm just jotting down numbers and basically building a pro forma on a scratch pad.
Yeah.
And I looked at the numbers like, man, like this could really work if you get to a certain threshold, considering what her lease was, the triple net, all of that. And so I was like, okay, called him back, and he's like, well, why don't we do it together? I was like, okay, let's try it, see what happens. I mean, what do you have to lose? Small investment, see if it turns into something. We needed to get to, I think, like 280 or 300 members or something to
That's
break even.
nothing.
And the thing about Vernia that people don't understand is the city limits is only about 1,200 people, but there's like 37 subdivisions outside the city limits. There's something like 8,000 kids in the school district, or maybe 7,000. Well, most of those kids have two parents, and most of those parents, especially post-COVID, work out, some sort of fitness. And I knew that Anytime was running around 850 members in their little bitty space. And I thought, you know what? 300 isn't that hard. So we built a membership plan that was really affordable, in my opinion. It wasn't as cheap as Anytime, but we wanted to have newer equipment. We threw in a protein smoothie bar inside the gym, put a drive-through in. It was 4,000 square foot, so bigger than Anytime. Put all of our weight training downstairs. Upstairs was cardio and a fitness studio, so we could offer group fitness classes. And I want to say, like, we opened in January of 2023. By May, I think it was pretty much May, we were turning a profit. And I was like, oh shit, this could work. So I started digging into commercial real estate. I'm like, okay, I had residential rentals, still have one. And I was like, commercial real estate is so much different, because in commercial real estate, you're paying rent, you're paying triple net, which is taxes, insurance, and maintenance. And I was like, and you can't find commercial real estate for lease in Vernia because it's all taken. It's very boutique heavy. And I thought, what if we owned our own building? So we started tossing this idea around, and finding commercial real estate in Vernia is very expensive. And I thought, there's just like, we weren't gonna be able to find something. So we were like, okay, at the 2-year mark, we'll start digging heavy into this. I'm pretty confident that by September of 2024, so a little over a year later, I had stumbled onto this property and I was like, hey, like, this could work.
Was it listed yet, or you just knew they wanted to sell it?
It had been listed for a long time, and they couldn't move it. And I was at, I think, Sammy's one day eating breakfast, and my buddy walks in, Eric, and I'm forever grateful for him. And he was like, hey, man, like, you need to call on this property. So I called. They wanted way too much money for it. So I called Chase and his wife, Katie. I said, hey, look, we got an opportunity here. I think we should really consider it. Now, in order to make money, we're going to have to juice our membership quite a bit. So we're going to have a much bigger facility. Mm-hmm. We were already running like 420 members. So we were doing great, but the space was just too small. And being in real estate, you get a little bit of an advantage because you get to look at different numbers and know how long something's been on the market and how to wheel and deal for it. So we ended up picking up the land for a very, very good price.
Good.
And so we decided we were just going to pull all of our money together and jump on this and build our own building. So we built the building in about 4.5, 5 months. And I laid it out with Chase and Katie, very similar to how like a Gold's Gym is laid out, just much smaller scale. We had indoor training and group fitness.
I like the outdoor training stuff though. I feel like people, there's nowhere to do that in this part of even Texas.
So one of my big things was when we built this, I was kind of the only person that was like, hey, this could really work out good. But we knew that we needed space. So I didn't want to eat up too much. It's like, let's just do like 2,000 square foot. Let's turf it. And that can be your heavy.
Are they using it?
The hell out of it.
They are?
Oh my God. So it's 2,000 square foot turfed and covered. You did the fence for me. And they go out there and people are training that. We got sleds out there. Good. You can drop weights out there. I mean, oh my God. Every time I get up there, it's just, 5, 6, 7 people out there just running hard on it.
Good.
And so we wanted to have something that was just different, the indoor training, group fitness. And then Chase and Katie were like, hey, we should do a sauna. And I was like, okay. So we were going to do a basic sauna. And Katie found this infrared with red light therapy thing. Started looking into it. It was a lot more expensive.
How much is a sauna?
A regular sauna, 15.
That'll fit like
10 people, 8 to 10 people.
15 grand.
This one was quite a bit more.
Yeah.
It could fit, I think it's up to 16 if you really wanted to, but we typically run 10 to 12 members in it. But red light therapy, infrared, and it's been like a dream. Because we started looking into it, and there were places that were charging like $25 a person for like one person
to go in for an hour,
to go in for 20 minutes.
Oh,
$25.
Shit.
Like, people were doing it, and I'm like, why don't we just make it a part of our membership?
Yeah,
you pay the regular membership, you can use the sauna whenever you want. And man, I bet we have 40, 50 members. We're running, I think as of last night, 938 members.
That's great.
And we doubled our membership the month that we opened the new building. It was insane. And so it was like, okay, that opportunity, presented itself. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call and this guy's like, hey, I want to open up a youth training facility. And I'm like, I'm not even close to being ready for this. There's no way. I can't afford it. Me and Chase were like trying to crunch our brain on how we can make it work.
Yeah.
And so we're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just try it. And, he only needed about 15,000 square foot. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then Chase was like, no, like we need to build bigger. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. Like we can't afford it. I was like, we've put everything we have into the gym. Plus we have other businesses and we have families and we have a lifestyle that we like.
It's crazy being an entrepreneur with these fucking stupid ideas. They're great ideas.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, how in the fuck am I going to do this?
Oh, and how's a bank going to even trust us?
Yes.
Like we just spent whatever we spent on our building. And here we are a month later, like, hey, by the way, can we get a sizable number? Like, have you lost your damn mind?
Yes.
And so it was like, so we did it. We said, all right, let's build a bigger building. And it's like, all right, we'll just put everything up for lease now and see what happens. The baseball group signed on.
Dang.
And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine calls me and can't say what kind of business it is yet. And he's like, hey, I want to open in Vernia. And I'm like, all right, how many square foot you need? 2,000. I'm like, well, I've got 6,000 square feet up front. I'll give you an end cap, 2,000 square feet. Here's my number. He's like, okay, cool. I was like, shit. So then it was like, okay, now I got 4,000 square foot left. And we did our grand opening, and some friends of mine who are big into the content creation space came down and did the grand opening with us and a big meet and greet and had a bunch of people there. And this guy walks in and he's like, obviously I can't name that business yet either, but he's like, hey, I want to do this, 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 and this. And I'm over here like, shit. Like, I was just talking about doing this with one of my friends in that spot. Now I don't have to, and you're going to do it, and the town's going to freaking eat it up. And I was like, okay, how do you need it laid out? Here's my numbers. And he was like, I'm good with that. I'm like, oh my God. So we leased the whole building out, and we're over here like, shit, now we got to finish it.
And it's not built.
No, we just got the red iron up. They're still putting some red iron up. So it's just like, but that's how it works. Like, you work your ass off and you build something, and then you start looking at every opportunity that comes your way, and don't just shrug it off. Like, sit down, break it down. Is this viable?
Yeah.
Because even if you make a little bit of money, like if you make a little bit of money, you start scaling it. That's what Silo Fit was. We didn't do that to make money. I wanted another place to work out. Chase was on board. We bounce ideas off each other all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, we can make this work. And oh, wow, by the way, Chase does all of my remodels. He does all of my make-readies. He's remodeling my house. He just did a huge remodel on one of the content creators' houses in Vernia. So he's doing all of that while we are together, basically Chase, GCing our own buildings.
Yeah.
Like, we're building this ourselves. And it's like, but if you're willing to take a little bit of a risk and then turn that risk into a scalable model, it's almost worth it. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to do residential no more. I mean, sales I will, but I'm not going to own residentials anymore. I'm just going to do commercial flat out. We're outside the city limits. So I don't have.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yeah. We're just on the outside.
Good.
So like everything kind of worked out. And again, we're talking about 2011. I was begging my aunt for $1,000 because I had less than $14 in my bank account. I think I had like $7 or $8 in my bank account. And here we are, 14 years later, and it's like, all right, now I'm over here trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do next?
Yeah.
This building will be done January, February, March-ish, and then it's leased. It's done. And then it's like I'm already telling Chase, like, hey, what about a third building? He's like, stop. But that's what's going to happen. We're going to finish. We're going to be set. And then we're going to be, all right, well, let's take a breath. And then someone's going to call us and be like, oh, I want to open a sporting goods or something crazy. And we're going to be like, hey, First United Bank, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
But that's what entrepreneurship's about. And it's not easy, man. Like there's so much more that goes into it. The CPA side of it, the financials, making sure your money's right. It doesn't mean you're rich, because by no means am I rich.
And I have several properties. You need a spreadsheet for all the properties I have, and I have debt on them, but they're getting paid off right now. And I'm not in it to be whatever rich is today, but I can assure you by the time I'm 55 and these things are all done, all of these headaches and bullshit will be worth it. But it's a hard road. It's not easy. But if you do your homework, get the numbers pretty close to right, and you use your common sense, most of the time it's going to shake out. I've sat on some buildings before. We're about to sell one I sat on for 3 years. They were just losing money on every single month. And we had another one that we were losing money on every month. And so, shit can happen, but if you balance it so that you can cover it with one to pay for the other, it'll be all right.
That's the point. That's the point about, I was talking to someone earlier today, and he was like, well, how much do you invest in crypto? Nothing.
Yeah.
What about stocks? Nothing. I got a little bit in the stock market. I was like, my money's in real estate.
Yeah.
Can I get it out right now? No. But at some point, when time comes, all of this headache's going to be worth it, and I'm going to be able to sell the businesses or the real estate, and I'll be sitting pretty. It goes back to something you said earlier about measuring success. An old first sergeant of mine, we always talked about, you always hear people say, what's your definition of success?
Yeah.
And I say, I don't have one. And they're like, well, why not? I'm like, because I don't look at success as a measuring stick. Because success can be adjusted, right? If you go into your career field, whatever it is, and say, okay, my goal is $100,000 a year, and you make 75. To most people, that's successful.
Yeah.
To me, I don't like that idea because I didn't hit my goal. I didn't do what I said I was going to do. So I don't see that as being successful. So I don't build my careers or my businesses off of a model of success. I build it off of a goal. If I don't hit my goal, I have to stop, start all over again, rebuild the entire model, because I was not successful because I didn't hit my goal.
Yeah.
So if you always sell yourself short and say, well, that was just good enough, then you're going to have the typical mindset of instant gratification and just, I'm going to constantly move the goalpost is what I see as successful. No, fuck that. Like, I'm trying to get here. If I don't get here, why?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? And that's where I've spent the last really 15 years of my career, going from equipment sales to real estate and 8 years in real estate, to say, no, every year I need to be number one. Every single year. If I'm not number one, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I will give the best advice to all the agents on the team. And any agent I talk to, I mentor a dozen agents, some with the team, some not with the team. But if they ever beat me, now I got to go back and start all over again.
Yeah.
Because I'm competitive by nature. I have a goal. And if I don't hit that goal, then I wasn't successful. And that's what I want to teach my kids. But we live in a society now that instant gratification is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it goes to show, it's also about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you see that daily. And I left the podcast yesterday, and just an example of surrounding yourself by the right people. I have restaurants, but two of my best friends or good friends own Burnt Bean in Seguin, which is the #1 barbecue restaurant in Texas. And you're talking about surrounding yourself with people. When I watch what Ernest does and when I watch what David does with the food and how they throw plates away if they're not perfect, or how they cut stuff, how they present stuff, how he talks about what he's doing with this food. Just me being around him, I go back to my restaurants and I'm like, hey guys, this shit ain't gonna fly. So we're getting better just by being around those people. And it could be just a minor detail like that. And I can assure you that my relationship with the Burnt Bean guys has overflowed into my restaurants and made my restaurants better.
Shout out Seafood and Spaghetti Works in Port Aransas, because they get a sizable chunk of my income every summer.
Good, we try.
It's one of the best restaurants I've ever been to.
And we're working on, because of, well, thank you for that, but because of my relationship with the Burnt Bean guys, I have been in Seafood and Spaghetti Works the past 3 months now, trying to get them better and better and better. Because for Ernest, the fact of the matter is his food is never good enough. And when they won #1, he goes, I'm just pushing to get better and better. Like, this #1 is not good enough for where I need to be in 4 years.
Well, it's funny to me because that's the entrepreneur mindset, right? But everybody gets pissed off when, wealthy people or successful people only hang out with successful people. And it's like, what do you think makes me successful? Yeah. It's being around some of the best at what they do in the world and learning from them, which then makes me, why do I want to hang out with someone that doesn't give a shit?
I don't.
Like, I've distanced myself from a lot of really good friends because they're just like, I'm good. I'm content. I still got friends that are bartenders and waiters. And I'm like, why not go to management? Why not? Like, there's just this mindset. And again, it's not about being successful in the terms of having money. It's about setting yourself up so that you don't have to worry about it when the time comes where you won't be able to do physically and mentally what you're doing now. People take it for granted and they're like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Next thing you know, you're 40, you're still waitressing or you're still bartending and you're like, fuck. And then you're mad that your friend is killing it in life.
That's been over here doing this shit. I've been working for myself for 25 years. 25 years. If I don't make something big happen by the time I'm 60, I really fucked myself. Really did it wrong, because this amount of stress and bullshit, lawsuits, dealing with employees, this shit is not worth it if I cannot, if I can't just sit around and do whatever the fuck I want at 55 or 60.
Well, and that's the thing people underestimate about the restaurant business is I always tell people, like, people that own restaurants, that's a different breed, because especially in Port Aransas, finding employees is not easy. Finding chefs is not easy.
And getting them to get off of island time. And I had this conversation, guys, we're not on island time. We're on the customer's time. And because that's who pays our paychecks. It's not me. I don't give anybody a penny. It's everybody that walks in that front door is who pays our employees. So, but getting them to move and be off of that, it is a challenge. But, a few months ago, I went in there, I said, I'm not giving up. I'm not leaving until you guys are doing this, this, and this. And now we're at the point of holding them accountable, which really sucks because some of them aren't performing. And the ones that aren't performing, unfortunately, are going to have to exit the building. But I have a job to do, and that's to take care of you guys that come into our restaurant in the summer and provide you with the best food, not that you're going to eat in Port A, that you're going to eat in Texas. Yeah. And Seafood and Spaghetti Works food is some of the best food you will ever eat. And that's the problem, is I want to showcase that, because when they came up with those recipes and did that, they hit the nail on the fucking head.
Yeah.
But holding people accountable, I was talking to a guy about leadership and running leaders and doing big things and getting people to where you want. Well, it's the first few steps of that is all talk and demonstration. But when it's time to perform, and that's where we are, some aren't performing, and that's a hard spot to be in. But again, I don't want to go through all of that bullshit and dealing with this. These conversations are difficult with people. Mm-hmm. They're a lot easier after 25 years. But the type of shit that you and I have to go through now to be successful, whatever that means, freedom later, is not fucking easy.
No, that's why every business that I own, we own 3 businesses, and only one of them has an employee, and that's the gym employee. And that's hard enough to deal with. Katie mostly deals with her because she's a saint in how she navigates the coffee business, and then also the gym stuff. Like, I like more so the forward facing, being in front of the client. I love talking to people now, which I didn't before. And that's something that I never want to do. I never have to want to deal with people in terms of employees, because my stance with holding people accountable is very different. That's why I'm not in a leadership role on the team. Like I said, I've got some agents underneath me. I mentor some people, but the one thing that I learned being in the military and seeing combat and having friends die in combat is that the only person that can truly hold you accountable is you.
Yeah.
You're responsible for making sure your gear is right, batteries in your optics are right, your lights are on, your weapons are clean, your weapon systems are functioning correctly. That's combat. Your battle buddy can't clean your M16. Your battle buddy can't clean your saw. Your battle buddy can't make sure your optic battery is up and running. If those aren't working, you die, or your battle buddy dies. So you have to learn to hold yourself accountable. And we live in a society now that has no idea what accountability even means. It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah, it is.
It's on Facebook in the community market. This place did it. Okay, what did you do? What's the context? I've got a friend of mine, probably one of my closest friends. He's a content creator, and he does police shooting breakdowns on YouTube. Wildly successful.
I love police shootings because I'm on the cop's side.
Yeah. And well, this guy, you should check him out. His name is Donut Operator on YouTube.
I love watching those fucking videos. It's Donut Operator.
Donut Operator. And he's one of the biggest YouTubers in the country. And we talk about it all the time, because you go into these police shootings, you go into anything in life, and it's, well, what did the cop do? Why did you? Well, hold on. You're only seeing this much. There's context behind everything that happens in life. It's not just the police side of it. It's not just the military side of it. It's the civilian side of it. Everything that we do has consequences. Yeah. If I make a bad financial decision, do you think someone's going to bail me out?
Not no. Your aunt.
I'm not GMC or Ford.
Not
my aunt either. So if my business has failed, that's on me.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure I do everything right, and also survive a world where if somebody comes in and has one bad experience, instead of calling me, they're going to social media, they're going to the news, wherever, or they're going to sue me. And it's like, all you had to do was pick up the phone and call me. Problem solved.
Well, you only have one person to fall back on, and that's you.
Yeah.
But you learned that at an early age when you were talking about your dad and your mom passing away, going off to military school. You've only had one person to fall back on since you were a kid.
Yeah. And luckily enough now, I've got great business partners that help me out tremendously. My wife is an amazing support system. But at the end of the day, it's just me. Mm-hmm. And I carry the weight for my family. And Chase and Katie carry the weight for their family. We look out for each other, but we also have to look out for ourselves. And in this society, you wonder why there's not more entrepreneurs, because you're like, there's so much money to be made in this world.
Yeah.
There really is. Like, you can call the economy what it is, but I started with $7. Like, and I turned it into something pretty special. So for anybody to say, well, what opportunity did I have?
None.
Like, I've been on my own since I was 17.
Yeah.
What opportunity did I have?
We had the opportunity to not make excuses.
That's exactly right.
And
I didn't
fucking people make excuses for everything. Everything. Why they don't want to get started, why they can't. And I call those people entrepreneurs, but they just have an excuse for everything. And an excuse is not going to move the ball forward at all.
Or they get into some money from their success and they blow it. They waste it, or they over leverage themselves. They get things they don't need.
Yeah.
And it's, there's a guy made a comment a couple months ago that, well, I got where I'm at because of inheritances. I got a broken recliner and 4 fishing poles. That's what I got from my inheritance. Like, let's be honest here. If you work hard and you commit, and the other thing I tell people too is be great at one thing before you start going out doing other bullshit.
Yeah.
Because if you're not really good or great at one thing, you're not going to be good at other things, because now what you're already not great at, you're taking away from trying to start something else.
I use the analogy of the plate spinning at the circus. It's like you can only spin so many plates before stuff starts dropping. And we do that shit all the time. We'll focus on one restaurant heavily or construction, and then you stop paying attention over here and whoop, now you got to go over here. But luckily there's a few of us that can run around, but we see it all the time. Wherever you're paying attention, you're getting results. And where you're not paying attention, shit starts falling off.
It's 100% accurate. And that's where I think people, they like the entrepreneurship, that comment. That's perfect, because there's a lot of people that want to be an entrepreneur.
But they won't get up and do what it takes.
No. And they have no idea that, just because you got up and you went and you sold this, well, you forgot the bookkeeping side of it, or you forgot the management side of it. And you forgot to follow up. So now that one thing that you got, you just lost because, well, it was paying me. It was there. And that's the problem realtors fall into, is they sell one house and like, I'm good. I got $5-6 grand in the bank. That doesn't even pay my bills. Like, if I'm not closing 6 or 7 a month,
you're not doing well.
I'm not doing well at all.
What do you do after the sale on a follow-up? How important is a follow-up?
So it's probably the most important thing you can do. So I don't typically do, like a lot of agents do, closing gifts. I don't typically do closing gifts. I put a lot of time and effort in the transaction. I would rather put money into the transaction as well. So there's times where I'll pay for an appraisal, or I'll pay for a repair. And that's because I think that's more beneficial to the client. So when they close, it's pretty much every couple of months. They get an email or a call or a text, or, things like that. Most of the people I become friends with. I had a guy call me earlier today that he sold his house in Vernia and moved to a 55 and up community on the Northwest side. And he texted me today, Happy Veterans Day. And then we got to bullshitting about, how's the new house? What are you doing? He's like, oh yeah, we have happy hour on this day. We have this.
Shit.
And we talked for like the entire drive from Vernia to here. And that's what my relationship is with my clients. Is now they're friends. And, a lot of them, we barbecue, we go to their house, my wife's become friends with them. A lot of my clients in the content creation space, the YouTubers that I work with, they invite us to Vegas, and we go to South Carolina with them. And we just got back Friday they let me tag team and host a huge content creator range day in Vegas. We had 400 of the biggest content creators in the world.
I don't make that cut.
It was, well, hey, I mean, you're on your way.
You got to start somewhere.
We may have to add you to the list for next year.
I don't know. I have no clue what the flip is going to happen with this deal. I do have fun doing it. I have no clue where it's going to go, but I also had zero expectations.
I started a podcast a little over a year ago. We did about 8 episodes. I was like, this. They always give me hell. The group that I hang around with, like, man, why don't you, like, you can, I'm like, no. I'm really, really good at what I do.
Yeah.
I can't do another thing.
I think the podcast stuff, for the people that want to do a podcast or think they want to, I figure, and I looked at these numbers before, but it's most people will get 3 to 5 episodes in and they're done.
Oh yeah.
And so I guess for me to get to 37 or 38 has been, but it's work.
But it's the connections you build in it.
You know what I mean?
Like, what you're doing, the platform you're doing is better than the one I was doing, because we were just interviewing like mortgage guys, real estate guys, and there's very few people that want to look at just that. You've brought on a lot of different entrepreneurial aspects to your podcast. And I think that's what makes it so exciting is going and watching some of the episodes and listening to the content that you put out. It's not always focused on one thing. I have to turn it off when you talk about Texas Tech. But outside of that,
because you're a UT guy, right?
Big UT guy.
Well, my business partner is a UT guy.
See, that's probably why you're so successful.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And I'm not going to discredit him at all, but he just got here last year. So he's full-time. He was in the Marines. Then we tell people he worked for the city of Austin as a trash man. He was a cop. So he's been here about 1 year and 3 months now.
Wow.
But he has a lot to learn, but he's learning, he's drinking from a fire hose, but he goes to every fucking UT game. He travels every single weekend. Well, our busiest weekends are when Tech's playing in Lubbock. I'm like, hey, you might have to skip a couple fucking games. And he's like, oh man. And he did. But you could tell he had his tail between his legs because he travels a lot. But if Texas Tech, we had this conversation last night, if Texas Tech plays UT in Lubbock, it's going to be a bash. And I think if they play in Lubbock, I think Tech wins. I think if they play in Austin, I think UT might have a chance.
I don't think Tech would stand a chance against that defense because that defense is so. When you get into the way the Longhorns are built, that defense is so built for that type of high-speed, fast-paced offense. You look at some of the teams they built, they played this year, yeah, they lost the Florida game in the swamp, but holding Ohio State to 14 points and then going in and beating Oklahoma at the Red River rivalry, then going in and beating Vandy, like that spread where I can run or throw, that's what that defense excelled. Now, I'm not an Arch Manning guy. I never was. They
had high hopes for him, but he's also young.
First year starter. I don't know. I don't buy into that though. He's been in the system 2.5 years. He's started games. So, you look at John Mateer in Oklahoma, you go and you look at the kid out of Ohio State, Julian Sain, first year guys, when they're first, so that's not an excuse.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's kind of found something. His mechanics are better. He's still throwing off his back foot a little bit, but his mechanics are much better. And they look to be kind of figuring this out. Obviously, Saturday night sets the stage for what this team's going to be this year. Because if they go into Georgia and they get that revenge from 2 losses last year and beat Georgia in Georgia, this could get real interesting for Texas football. I don't know how it would come down to them playing Tech this year, though. It would have to be
They're showing it on the charts for some reason, but I think it's too early,
it's
premature
way too early.
for any type
Texas
of
drops
accurate.
one more game, they're out of the playoff. I think Texas beats A&M in Texas. I think it's going to be I think they're going to stop a mud hole in their ass. I'm going to that game. So
one of the cool things about being in my position up in Lubbock and owning the restaurants and the bars is we give gift cards to all the athletes through Miguel. So if you walk in and you want a gift card, we give you a $30 gift card. You can renew it anytime you want. We do that for all the athletes in Lubbock. So I get to meet all of these guys. And then they go into if they either bail out, become a coach, or they go in the NFL. And so shout out yesterday to Tyler Slew is how you say his name, but he's the New Orleans Saints quarterback, and I'm friends with him. And so I've been watching his journey through his first touchdown on Sunday. So I was texting him last night. Terrence Steele with the Cowboys is a buddy. And so it's neat to see. And it's not like, people say, oh, I know this guy. No, they're my buddies. Like we text back and forth. And so that's one of the neat perks that you get from owning a restaurant bar in Lubbock is watching those guys kick ass. And those dudes, even if they don't get to the pro level on whatever sport it is, they're fucking awesome at what they do. D1 athletes are talented folks and good kids. Everybody talks about millennials now and this and that. I'll put my team at the restaurants, like the quality of the employees and a lot of these athletes that are out there. Dude, they're fucking badasses. They're not little scrubs like millennials suck. Well,
I think you're starting to see a shift, though, in that millennial, what is it, Gen Z, going into Gen Z. Because I think you and I are more so millennials than the group coming up now. But a friend of mine, he works for the Cowboys in Dallas, and he's really good friends. He's in the media space. He's really good friends with a lot of the players, and he's like, man, this is a different. So he's been doing it for 15 years. We actually got into sports writing together, 2011-ish. And of course, I didn't stick with it. He did. And then he owned a trucking company. Now he's one of the main guys on DallasCowboys.com. His name is Patrick Walker, so look him up if you can. And he's really good friends with a lot of the players. And he was really tight with Marshawn Kneeland, who just killed himself.
Sad fucking deal.
And I was talking to him about it the other day. Well, he had posted something, and I had made a couple comments on it. And he was like, mental health is a really big thing right now.
Huge.
And that was something he's like, dude, nobody saw it. Like, a hard worker, grinder, second round draft pick, like just a hustler, and just. So he was telling me like this generation that's coming through now is very different than the one before that, where the Johnny Manziel era of like privilege and not a whole lot of expectations and accountability. He said, this is a totally different generation. And it kind of started, 2020, 2021, when they lost so much of their youth because of COVID.
Yeah, they did. And COVID the COVID effects are still happening through kids in high school. I've just recently heard of one that's, when did you start being sad? All during COVID.
Yep.
And they're still carrying it with them. So
the social isolation.
Yeah, what a mess.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, that's probably the only thing that's going to come out of that, is that there is a more mature mindset coming out of school now. You're starting to see more entrepreneur-driven businesses. You're starting to see a lot more small businesses open up because people are like, I don't want to have to go through that where I got to not get the vax or get the vax.
Yeah.
I want to be able to just do my own thing. And I think that's going to be so much better for our economy moving forward. And not just our economy, but for people's lives. COVID was great for me because the real estate market was just, it was rolling in a way that you'll never see it again. You'll never see it again. But it opened a lot of people's eyes to stop being so reliant on everybody else. When you're the only one that holds yourself accountable, you tend to be more successful.
Well, if anybody's listening and they think it's easy owning your own business and you want to make that choice, it's not. It's a lot easier to do sales at Equipment Depot, make a good living. You can make a great living and do that shit forever. But if you step into this side of the aisle, it's not fucking easy.
No, there's nothing fucking easy about it. Now, I will say, I would give everything up to be able to do this over and over and over again. Because once you learn how to leverage and you learn you build your calendar and you build your lifestyle, you build the thing, it gets so much easier. Like right now, it's a breeze. Yeah. I know exactly what I got to do. I know that come December 1, I got to start putting invoices together for Taxman. I know that in January, I got to start setting myself up for the second and third quarter. I know that in the summertime, the gym slows down. So I got to start making sure I'm marketing and advertising pre-June to get people in the door, to make sure the membership numbers stay up. So you get about, I think, my brother-in-law was telling me when I first got in real estate, your first 3 years sucks. It fucking sucks. And that's not just real estate. That's just entrepreneur business. Your first 3 years sucks because you're working 16, 18 hours a day. You're trying to build something. Once you do that and you learn that spending money on leverage makes you more money in the long run, because I think that's where entrepreneurs get in trouble. They're afraid to invest their money because they're making so much of it, they want to keep it to themselves. Yeah. And they don't invest in that leverage. Me hiring Amy, my assistant, was the best thing I did for my business because it allowed me to step away from the documentation side, which I'm terrible at. Yeah, bookkeeping, all that bullshit. I'm terrible at it. I went and hired a really expensive CPA that's really good. I hired Amy. I've given her a bunch of raises since I hired her because she's taken the role of my social media director. She's taken the role of my bookkeeper. She's taken the role of basically my personal assistant. Yeah. Where if I need something, hey, can you order Brittany flowers for the school? Can you do that? I got to go here. I got to go do this. She also runs the social media side of the gym. So if like me and Katie and Chase are out of town or something, hey, Amy, can you run up there and check on this for me? Yep, no problem. So like when she wants to take off, that 3 or 4 days she's gone, I'm pulling my hair out. I'm like, oh shit. But building out that leverage makes your life so much easier, but you can't, it's just an investment. Yeah. You can't be afraid to invest in your business because maybe you're not going to make it the first year or second or third year. But at some point, if you keep doing it, man, you're going to blow up.
Yeah. But every dollar you spend on that is still, it's scary, you know?
It's terrifying.
It just is. But you get used to it. And it's like when we need a new equipment for something, it's like, just buy it. It's going to make our life easier. So, yeah. But anyway, well, where can people find you at, Chris?
So they can find me at Chris Jacobs Realtor on Facebook and Instagram, or you can find me at Silo Fit in Vernia 4 or 5 days a week at least.
Outside.
No, I don't do the outside stuff. I'm an inside guy. I've spent enough of my time outside in my life. I'm good with. Or you can find me at Seafood and Spaghetti Works during April through August.
Yeah, I heard y'all moved camp.
Yeah, we moved over to Ryan, the guy that owns the little outdoor hut area. Yeah. So he apparently opened this new one. And, I called him up on a whim. We were just cruising by, and I was like, hey, I got about 20 of us over here. We're not happy. And he was like, come over here. We'll give you this number. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So we booked up, and it ended up being like 31 of us.
How many trailers are there? There are 30 trailers?
There's 31 of us total moving from the park we were at to his park. So he's been, and they're
he's a great dude. He's my house is right next door to that.
Yeah.
So I talked to Ryan and deal with him a bunch.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy, has been the whole time. And so that's a good spot though on 11th Street too.
So I hate the beach. I hate everything about the beach because you live in Iraq for long enough. You find sand in places. Like I probably still have sand in places.
Yeah.
So, but my kids and wife love it. And this is the first year I'm legit excited about going down next summer because our spot's way bigger. We have a big fifth wheel. It's way bigger. It's close to the beach.
Yeah.
So if I don't want to go to the beach, Brittany can load the kids up on the golf cart and take them.
Yes.
Turn right, turn left. You're there. It's to me, it's just more efficient. It's cleaner. And he runs it like he's the owner. Like I've got his cell phone. When I call him, he's like, whatever you need. Yeah, I got it. I'll do this. And he's got a gym.
Yeah.
In the
they do.
In the
yeah, they put building. A little gym in the other one because they own the Port A RV resort and they sold that, bought Virginia's. But no, it's a good spot because I'm right on. I mean, I'm on 11th, just the other side. Yeah. You can go to Beer House, get prickly pear margaritas to go.
Me and all the guys were just talking about like, we're right down the road from Beer House. Right on the 361.
Who's gonna get that spot on 11th next to the Texan?
That's the Texan.
Yeah, but who owns the spot on 11th?
Oh, I don't know who owns that one.
I
know the Texan's expanding.
There's I think they're moving Tortugas next door to the Texan.
Yeah, so apparently the guy that owns the Texans, 5D, all that family, they're building a big strip center right there.
Yeah.
And if Tortugas moves there, game on, because that is my second favorite restaurant in Port Aransas.
No, I'm happy for him. And somebody told me that the other day, and I hope they build a big ass restaurant because they'll murder it during the summer. There's not enough seats for asses in Port.
We try to be like dynamic in where we go because every Sunday, the only time we eat out is on Sunday. We typically cook because there's so many of us with all the kids. We just barbecue in camp. So on Sundays, we try to pick a different restaurant every Sunday to go do brunch. And, you go to Blue Water. It's good, but Jesus Christ, you're going to wait. And then you got to walk up 3 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
And then I'm not a big fan of barbecue stuff. So they always want to go to the barbecue place. I'm like, if I'm at the coast, my favorite, I haven't been to your friend's place here in Seguin yet, but my favorite's Rabel's in Lavernia.
Yeah, that place is good.
Fucking amazing. They're
What's that guy's name?
Garrett Rabel.
Yeah, I'm supposed to meet him because one of our girls used to work there.
It's so fucking good. It's the best barbecue I've ever had. And it's right in front of my house. It's not super expensive. But if I'm going to barbecue, I'm doing it here. I'm not going to barbecue. I don't like going to barbecue at the coast.
Yeah.
I want seafood or I want something like that. So my favorite obviously is Seafood and Spaghetti Works. And that's not just because you own it, but legit the Surf and Turf is, when we went there for my birthday a couple years ago and I got that, I think it's called the Tommy Special.
Yeah, it's called Tommy B's.
Oh God. Damn. So that's my favorite place. But Tortugas, I only get to eat there twice a year because I'll do it when I drop the RV off because I'm by myself. And then when I pick the RV up, I'll eat there because they don't open for brunch.
Oh.
So, and if you go at nighttime, you have to make a reservation.
How many weeks do y'all stay down at the coast?
Pretty much every weekend. It's almost every weekend.
Is Derek and Amanda going down there? They're going to Rockport a lot.
They go to Rockport, but they come across to hang out with us.
Yeah.
So they're there once a month, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he's running this road job right here.
Is he?
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to give him shit.
I'll go to his trailer right there.
I got blocked out trying to come down. I missed, I think it's Fleming. I went to the next one. I come around and it was blocked. I was like, son of a
his trailer's right there. Go stop by when he'll be there. He's
no, he'll
always
probably
there.
be at Hooters with Jake here in about an hour and a half.
So tell us again where they can find you, and then we'll wrap up and get on with our busy lives.
Chris Jacobs, Realtor on Instagram and Facebook. I don't give out my Twitter because that's where I go to share unwelcome opinions. But yeah, you can find me there or at the coast in the summertime or wherever.
We'll wrap up. You say you don't have a definition of success, but I like to ask everybody, what would Chris Jacobs now tell 20-year-old Chris Jacobs? What advice would you give that guy? And we'll wrap up on that.
I wouldn't give him any advice because if I hadn't made the mistakes I made then, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Sink or swim, motherfucker. All right, well, let's wrap it up, man. I appreciate you coming in. You got a good story. I love seeing you work and hustle. That's one of the things I always notice about you is you're not just sitting around. You're always trying to make deals. And that's why I wanted to link you up with my buddy, Nate, because he reminds me of a young Chris Jacobs. He's just working, hustling, trying to put people where they need to be, get their shit done, move on to the next one. So I appreciate your time today, man.
Man, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching Business Under Fire. We'd love it if you would share, like, and subscribe. See you next time.